All right, let's begin by talking about what is Designer. Designer is an ebook creator, and when you open up that platform, you will see this dashboard right here. This dashboard is comprised of three basic functions. We'll talk about those three basic functions and give you a brief introduction to those because your success is going to be directly related to the degree to which you understand how those three functions interact with each other. It is basically an importer, an editor, and a formatter. It's those three basic functions that happen inside of the Designer platform, and those three functions are what creates the ebook for you. So let's begin by taking a look at each one of those and where they're found on this dashboard, okay? The first one is it's an importer. That's where you import your content into the platform. It comes from a URL. Keep in mind this as you're starting out, that a URL is a basic page that resides on the internet. It's not a website. It's a page from a website. And so if you have multiple pages, then you're going to want to take multiple URLs to create your ebook, and you'll import each one of those. It's very important that you understand that it has to be a good URL with a good HTML kind of content from WordPress, from a fairly basic WordPress site. We'll talk about that at length later. The second one is a Word docx file and something that you can import from Word docx. And the third one is Facebook profile page or a profile or a business page. Either of those you can import from at this point in time. And then fourth thing is that with some levels of participation, you have the ability to import an audio, video, and then also a PDF file. So those three, those importations are where you bring your content into the platform. That's the first one. And so if you have content that you're trying to import, the first thing that you do is that you use the importer found on this button right here, create a project. So that's where you do that from. The next one is, it is an editor. Now you don't, there is an occasion where you may skip the importer and go directly to the editor, and that is if you want to start from scratch. There will never be a reason for you to jump over all the way and go directly to the formatter. So this editor is found under this draft tab at the top of your dashboard. It's a place if you want to start from scratch, that's where you start from scratch at. The second thing is that it also edits the imported content. You can bring the imported content, save it in that draft editor, and you can do your heavy editing from there. It also establishes the container contents. When Designer imports the content and brings it into the editor, it determines what kind of content that is. If it's a paragraph, or if it's a header, or if it's a list, or if it's a table, or if it's an image, it puts those basic components into containers so that those containers can be handled inside of the formatter. Very important. Don't miss that, what I just said. That container determines how the ebook is going to be formatted. If you do this properly and you give the proper designations inside of the editor, then the formatting becomes very, very easy, and it establishes and prepares the content for formatting. And then finally, you have the formatter, and this is the formatter right here. It takes the content that you've pulled into the platform and that you've made the appropriate edits on. You'll notice here in the draft as I prepared this, there is a button right here in the drafts, and that will take you into the formatter. There you're going to select the template that will determine how the imported content is going to look. The containers allow you to be able to have both global and local control of your content. So if I want to highlight a particular paragraph, I can do a particular paragraph. That's local control. If I want to change the font in all of the paragraphs, that's global control. And the containers give me the flexibility to be able to do that. Containers are very, very important, and they're the key to making the formatter work properly. And then if you do that properly, there'll only be four basic functions that you'll need to perform inside the formatter. We'll talk about them when we talk about the formatter. And then it prepares that content for its final output, We'll have a video dedicated just to the various types of output that you can create from the formatter. But keep in mind at this point in time that those three functions are what makes the ebook creator do the magic that it does. It's an importer, that's where you bring your content into the platform. It's an editor, that's where you do the editing of that content so that when you take it into the formatter then applies the dictates of the template and creates an amazing output so that your ebook looks exactly the way you want it to throughout all of your branding, whatever it is that you happen to be doing and you want that ebook to accomplish for you. Okay, that's the introduction to Designer. It is a platform that does three basic functions. It's an importer, it's an editor, and it's a formatter. The next videos are going to dedicate to each one of those stages in the process.